We are looking at lesson 11 now. So you can see there's, what is it, 8 different lessons for you to do. Number 8 is just a check for understanding. On 7, it's a put it together, so that's where there's 3 different apps. This week, I'm only having you do one of the 3. My suggestion is you do app A, that's the one that I'm going to demo in this video. But let's go ahead and get started. So in lesson 10, towards the end, there was like 5 different patterns that you can use to help you kind of filter list, reduce list, just do different things with list. So most of these levels today are going to have you practice, different patterns that they gave you on lesson 10. And like I was saying, when it comes to your unit project for unit 6, your midterm, your final, and then your AP performance task, you're going to have to choose one of those patterns to use. There's really no way to do those projects and get full credit without using one of those patterns. So at the very least, whichever one you feel the most comfortable with, make sure that you understand at least one of them. All right, so this first app, it has some different looks like a list with some different fruits in it. And then they're console logging out. Here's the fruit that I like to eat. So they're traversing the fruits list. They have this bar fruits. They're then looping through the list, and they are printing out to the console each one as they loop through it. So what they want you to do is add some code to traverse this second list on line 13, which is the vegetables list. So pretty much we're just going to copy lines 6 through 10, rename the variables so that it will, so if I run it right now, it's just going to console log out the fruits, right? We need to add it so it also logs out the vegetables. So to do this, I am going to create a variable. Right, I'm just going to call this vegetables, if I could spell it right. And then I'm going to need my loop, so I'm going to drag my loop out, and I'm going to say as long as I is less than my vegetables.length, which makes me notice that I named my variable here the same as my list variable. So I'm going to call this vegetable, and I'm going to use vegetables for my list, which kind of follows this construct up here. They have fruits for their fruit list and then fruit for their individual fruit that they find. All right, so now that I have my loop going, I'm going to say, okay, vegetable equals vegetables at index I, and then I want to console log that out. All right, so I just need to console log out vegetable. All right, so if I run this now, I should get the fruits I like and the list of fruits, and then the vegetables I like and my list of vegetables. All right. So that is the first one. I'm going to finish and continue that. All right, this next one is going to have something to do with pets and colors. So this program, if I run it initially, it's going to print out the list of my favorite pets. And what I need to do is also print out the list of my favorite colors. Right, so I can see up here we have var favorite pets with my list, and then I'm console logging out. Here's the list of favorite pets. Then they're kind of using the same pattern in here to get each individual pet using the loop, and then they're console logging out this concatenated string. So we are going to do the same thing here. So I have var favorite colors, so I'm going to create a new variable. I'm going to call it color, and then I'm going to get my for loop, and I'm going to say keep going as long as favorite colors dot length And then inside of here, so for each iteration through, I want to grab that color. So I'm going to say color equals favorite colors at index I. And then I need to build my console log string. So I'm going to drag out a console log. And I am going to say, and this is kind of interesting to start, because if you notice when I log this out, even though my first dog, right, first item on my list says dogs, that's my first element, which is index 0. My list is going 1, 2, 3. So what I need to do, I know I plus 1 is going to shift my list numbering correctly. So I'm going to say I plus 1, and then I need to add the semicolon, and then I want to add the color, right? Color variable. So if I go ahead, reset, and run this, I should get the list of my favorite pets and then get the correctly numbered list of my favorite colors, which is what I got, right? So red, green, blue, yellow, orange. So I can move to lesson 3 now. All right, lesson 3 is going to have some fruits. It has some prices. Those are both in list. I'm going to traverse both lists to print the price of each fruit. All right, so if I run this right now, I'm going to get, you know, that the apples cost 99 cents, the bananas cost 69, the peaches, and so forth. And what I'm going to see at the bottom is there's a list of students and their grades. So I need to do the same thing for this. And what's important is you'll notice that we're using a single loop to go through both of these lists. So when you're doing this, when you're looping through multiple lists, this works as long as both of these lists are lined up correctly, which code.org is built to kind of do this for you, right? So I know my first element, apples in fruits, the first element, 99 cents in prices, is the price for the apples. Right, my second element, bananas, is for my second element in price. So it doesn't matter here if I loop through fruits or prices, right? Because they have the same length. It doesn't matter. So they just chose fruits. Right, but this idea of using a single loop using one of those lists and then manipulating both of them works because these two lists are lined up to specifically do that. So what I need to do here, I have bar students and bar grades. So I'm going to need to, kind of just like up here, I had bar fruits and prices, and then I created bar fruit and bar price. So I'm going to do the same thing here. So I'm going to say bar student, not students, but student, and then bar grade. Right, and then I need to add my for loop. And again, I can choose students or grades. I'm just going to use students. I'm going to say students.length, right, to get my list going. And then for each one of these, so the first thing I need to do is update student. So I'm going to say student equals students at index I. And then I'm going to do the same thing for grade. So I'm going to say grade equals grades at index I. And then I need my console log, so I can log this out. All right, and this console log is going to say student plus is in grade plus grade. Right, so now if I reset and run this, I should get my fruits listed out and I should get my students and their grades. All right, so Angelo is in 11th. I got Angelo 11. Amelia is in grade 10. Amelia 10. All right, so that one is all working for me. So I'm going to finish this level. Then I will go to level 4. So on level 4, this program filters a list of animals to only take the animals with more than 5 letters in their name. right? So again, I'm going to be using this idea of a filtered list, right? So I've got my var animals, which is a list of all the animals. And then I have this animals filtered, which I'm going to start as an empty list. And then this looks familiar from the last few lessons, right? So I have var animal, I'm looping through my animals list. I'm setting animal equal to the individual elements as I traverse through them. And then I have this if statement to see if the length of animal. So this dot length works on a list. It also works on strings. That'll tell me how many characters are in the string. So anytime it's greater than 5, I want to append this animal that I just found to this animals filtered list. So that when I'm done, I can print that out. All right, so just before we get started, if you look at the animals list, you can see that there's 1, 2, 3 that have a length greater than 5, right? Hippo is equal to 5, not greater than. So that one should not be in our list. So if we run this, I can see alligator, flamingo, gorilla. All right, so I need to do this for students and look for anything that's greater than 6. So they give me my students list. They give me this empty list that I'm going to add the students that I find that match the criteria to. So they just want me to add the code to filter this list, right? So they're asking me to add the loop. So I'm going to say for here, as long as I is less than students.length. First thing I want to do is store that element to that student variable. So I'm going to say student equals students at index I. And then I need my if statement, because I want to check to see if the length of student is greater than 6. So student length greater than 6. If that's true, actually it's greater than or equal to, huh? Yeah, 6 or more. Yeah, greater than or equal to. Then what I want to do is use my append item. Right? Every time this is true, that means that I found a student whose name has 6 or more characters. So the list that I'm going to add this to is the students filtered list. Because that's that new list that I'm creating to contain just the items that I filtered out. And what I'm going to add to it is student. Right? And then the rest of it should work because they already gave me the console log. So if I run this now, I should get, there it is. So I've got my new student filtered list that has the 4 student names that had 6 or more characters in it. So I can go ahead and finish this one and continue. So now what we're going to do is this program traverses a list of prices to find the minimum price. Add code to traverse the list to find the maximum price. Okay, so here's my list of prices. Again, to find the smallest one, I'm going to set this bar minimum price to the first element in my list. And then I have this bar price that's going to, keep track of which one I found that is the smallest price at that point. So it's going to go through, it's going to check to see if the price is less than the min price. If it is, it's going to set min price equal to price, and then it's going to console log out that the min price was. So we can kind of see that the min and the max are there. All right, so what we need to do is traverse the list to find the maximum value. All right, so let's look at this. What I'm going to do, because they've given me most of the variables that I need to use already, including this var max price equals the first price in our list. All right, they've started my loop for me. So what I'm going to need to do first is update price. So price will equal prices at whatever index I'm looking at. And then I need an if statement, right? So I'm going to check to see if price is greater than the max price. Because if that's the case, then I want to update my max price. So I would say that's true. Max price equals price. Right. So let's see, because when this first ran, I didn't have the code to check, and max price was just being set to the initial element in the list, which was the 0.7, right? I didn't have this loop to update it. So now I have this loop where I'm grabbing that element value and storing it to price, and I'm saying if price is greater than what I have in max price, then update max price. And when it's all said and done, print that out. So when I run this now, I should see $3.25 as my max, not 0.7. And there we go. Right, and I can see my minimum price is 0.5. That's the code they gave me, which is the smallest price in my list. All right, so once you add this code, you can go ahead and finish it and continue. That's going to get you to level 6. Right, on level 6, the program imports data from the states table and filters it. The top part filters to only the states that have been added to the United States since the year 1900. Update the program to print the list of states that have populated or have a population of less than 1 million. Use the code that filters the states by their admission date as an example. So what we have now is 2 lists. One is the states list, one is the years list. Right, and then we have a list of states with admission year after 1900, which is an empty list because they're going to basically loop through this list, check the state, check the year, and if the year is greater than 1900, they are going to append that state that it just found to this states list. And then they're console logging that out. All right, so what they want you to do is basically, look at this code and use it to update the program to print the list of states that have a population less than 1 million. All right, so what we are going to do is kind of walk through this. So they give some of it to us, right? We have our population list, right? We have our small population list. This is where we're going to put that. Each item that matches our filter, we're going to append it into this empty list. We have our population, then we have our for loop where it's going through and it's, one element at a time, looking at the states list and the population list and storing that to state and population. So we need to add the code in here to actually do this, right? And really all they've left us, if I'm reading this right, is we just need to check, right? We just need the if statement. So I should in here be able to say if population is less than 1 million. Right? If the population is less than 1 million, then I'm going to append that item to my small population list. And what I want to add here is the state. Right? So if I run this now, I should get 2 lists. There we go. So states added since 1900. This is the code they gave us. So you can see Alaska, Arizona, Hawaii, New Mexico, and Oklahoma were all added to the United States after the year 1900. Lists of states with fewer than 1 million people. We have Alaska, Delaware, North Dakota, South Dakota, Vermont, and Wyoming. All right, so you can go ahead and finish that one. And then we're going to go to level 7. And remember, on 7, you only have to do one of the 3. I am going to do the grades. All right, so this app has users add their grades and then calculate their average grade. Read the code, or read and run the code to understand how it works. Add code to the program to calculate the average of the grades when the user clicks the button, and then test your program. So basically what they're saying is most of this is working. we just need to add code for this average grade button so that it will correctly do this for us. Right? So we need to add code here to make the app show the average grade when the user clicks the average grade button. Okay, so I'm going to need a couple variables to do this. So I'm going to need actually 3. So I'm going to drag 3 out. So I need 1 for the sum, I need 1 for the count, and then I need 1 for the average. Right? So the sum is as I'm looping through, I'm going to keep track of the sum. Count is, again, as I'm looping through, I'm going to add 1 every time I find a new element. And then this one is where I'm going to store the average after I finish looping through everything. So I'm going to do a loop. Right? I'm going to use, which list am I going to use? I'm going to use the grades list. All right, so as long as, because this grades list starts empty, but as you add grades up here, it's going to add those to this grades list. So that's the one that I need to go through to find my average. All right, so grades list.length. And then I need to do a couple things in here. So the first thing I need to do is make sure I update the sum. So I'm going to say sum equals sum plus grades list at the current index. And then the other thing that I need to do is, well, there's a couple ways for me to do this. I'm going to do it what I think is the quicker way and just say count plus plus. Right, I could also say count equals count plus 1, but this is kind of the shortcut way to do that. So once that loop is done, this is where I'm going to need to figure out my average. So I'm going to say average equals sum divided by count. Right, and then it wants me to display this text. So I'm going to need a set text. Right, and this is going to go to the, it goes down here to the average grade label is what that is. And my text is going to read, right, they already say your average grade with the semicolon. So I don't want to lose that. But I do want to calculate the average onto it. All right, so if I run this now, what I should see in my console log is I'll start getting averages. So enter a new grade. So let's just say I got a 70, I got an 80, and then I got a 90. All right, so if I calculate this, it should say that your average grade is 80. All right, so that is working. All right, so again, kind of just use the same pattern that they used up here. Or sorry, I'm just, we've done this before where we're summing things, going through a list, we're counting things, we're averaging things. We did that on level 2. This is just kind of in one on event, doing all 3 at once. All right, so once you have that, you can finish and continue. That will get you to level 8, which is just a check for understanding, and that will finish up lesson 11 for us.